Hello everybody, it's Sane here, and had a really fun invasion in the Elden Ring network test in one of the dungeons that I wanted to talk about and go over. And I noticed some interesting things from the network test. Who knows if these things will stay the same once the game is fully released, not me, but things that happened in the network test that are worth thinking about at least, I think. So we are using a level 11 character, and you can see the spells I have equipped right now. Meteorite, Glintstone Shower, I think, or Glintstone Stars, something like that, as well as the Piercer. I forget what it was called. Something Piercer. Maybe Glintstone Piercer? I don't know. I'm using a +1 spear right now, and I have given it the Ash of War that allows it to summon swords, or homing soul swords, whatever you want to call them. So if I'm two-handing this spear and I press the left trigger, or L2, it summons those up for us. And if someone gets close enough to them, it will try and kill them. This is the Meteorite spell. I wanted to love this spell, and I'm not finished trying it. We will definitely try it some more. So there's a spell parry, which is this shield's special ability. The shield has a parry, and if it parries a sorcery, it steals the sorcery and turns it into like a soul mass for the person who performed the parry. It's great, and I was relying on it heavily in the network test because in the network test, spells and the Ashes of War, or the weapon arts, whatever you'd like to call them, were really doing a lot of damage. So I just used Carrion Piercer, is the name of that spell. So anyway, I just used a Flask of Wondrous Physic, which is a flask that you get to brew your own potions in. And you have to find ingredients for it, and you have to find recipes or whatever. Mine gave me some FP, or mana, back. I was using it to replenish my mana so that I didn't have to spend one of my Flask of Tears on like some sort of mana juice or FP juice. Blue Estus from Dark Souls 3. I could give both of my Estus charges, because as an invader, your Estus is cut in half, right? So I could give all of my Estus and put it towards healing me instead of giving me mana. Which is why I have 2 flasks of Crimson Tears in invasions. So here you'll see I'm now out of FP. I'm out of mana. And I'm about to learn something. I don't even think I actually noticed it at the time. I tried to parry that. I tried to parry that. I tried to parry that. None of it was working. Now, at the time, I thought I was just not timing it correctly. So I used the Phantom Bloody Finger, and I teleport away. There's nowhere for these folks to go except back up. They have to come, or down, rather. But they have to come this way. So, anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that the reason the spell parry wasn't working, if you look, is because I was out of FP. So the spell parry doesn't work if you don't have FP. And I did not notice that until someone brought it to my attention. The reason they were like, oh, it doesn't work if you don't have FP. And I was like, oh, you're right. I didn't even notice that. So they have to come back up, like I said. We're going to hit them with some verticality. We're going to do a jumping heavy attack instead of a plunge attack. There are no more plunge attacks. But I really, this was great. One of the very first Dark Souls 3 invasion videos that I ever uploaded is called Elevators Are Dangerous. And it's an old video. It's like 5 years old now. The host goes for a plunge attack and doesn't make it. That video is about 5 years old now. And it was one of the first things that I ever did to beat people who outnumbered me. I just remembered the old Dark Souls 1 PvP videos I used to watch in the forest, seeing people jump from one side of the forest. They would jump over this ledge to another side, and a lot of times the gankers would try and chase them, and they would just fall off and die. And killing hackers or killing someone who was like level 800 or whatever, they would use gravity to kill those people. And so in Dark Souls 3, when I was confronted with having to fight multiple people, early on, I started using gravity, which is where the whole verticality thing came from. Using plunge attacks to get burst damage and surprise the group, and use that surprise to your advantage to try and finish them off. Things like that. And that very first Dark Souls 3 video, elevators are dangerous. I really get to sort of replay that in this moment, and it was great. I loved it. There was some interesting things I noticed, or I guess that we could learn. The no spell parry if you don't have mana. How useful this Phantom Bloody Finger is. How absolutely essential it is. I don't think it'll be that free when the game is actually released. I don't think you'll have 10 at the start of every invasion. But I think they wanted us to play around with it, and so they wanted to show it off. But this was the last day of the network test, and I wasn't streaming. I was just playing and recording, and this invasion sort of marked a moment where things started to click for me, and the idea of like how I could harass people with a build like this instead of just using the lance and the crucible armor, which was like network test meta. How I could make my build work in an invasion, and this was a beautiful proof of concept put into practice, and I loved it. And I wanted to share it because it reminded me so much of, you know, that Dark Souls 3 invasion 5 years ago, where I finally started to piece together. What happened, by the way, was the host rolled off the elevator, but there's a little ledge you can land on right there, and then he goes for a plunge attack on me and just totally whiffs it. But yeah, I love it. I thought it was really fun, and I hope you enjoyed it too. Thanks for watching, and there'll be more. Until then, later, y'all.